We're joined today by Mr. Naeem Aslam, Tier 1 media contributor, financial analyst, international man of mystery. Naeem, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you pivoted into the digital space?
It's intriguing. I have a wealth of over 10 years of investment banking experience. So I started my career with Bank of New York Mellon as a hedge fund trader, transitioned it with Bank of America in equity trading. And it was 2014 that I saw Bitcoin, and then there's this firm which was actually offering the futures contracts. And I thought it was very intriguing at the time. And that's how the journey started. I became the market head of research for the firm. And from 2014 till early 2016, it was nothing but just following the price action of digital assets. But when we talk about digital assets, there's a lot more than Bitcoin.
Of course.
And that's when the journey started from 2016.
And I see a little smile there. So these other offerings, they're getting you excited, or are you still quite a Bitcoin maximalist? Or both?
There's an element of two things. Okay, so I still believe Bitcoin as a core religion for this space. But now, with the crypto winter over, I think digital assets are in a much stronger position. So Bitcoin will stay, and then it has its own brand, and then you can do whatever you want to do with that. But with digital assets, this is more about enterprise solution. This is about more for people like you and I, for us to go and change this world and then actually adopt this technology. And then this is what really excites me about this space.
A little more elasticity on the fringes, I guess you could say.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Now, you mentioned the crypto winter. What exactly about it do you think strengthened the space?
A lot of bogus projects, they've been flushed out of the system. And there's, look, you can't blame cryptos for this. Mm-hmm. We have seen this. In my experience of investment banking, I've seen this in normal traditional markets, especially in the pink sheet stocks, because that's what exactly it happens, so especially in the tech bubble that we have seen. And prior to that, all these bubbles, we have seen those sort of bubbles coming in, these speculators, opportunistics coming into the market and trying to take advantage of the situation. But yes, I am so glad. I think it was consensus 2019 this year. And we were sitting there and then we were talking about it, that yes, how pleased we are. And back in early January this year, I was in Thailand for a conference, and feel free to watch that recording if you want to. This is what we what we talked about at the time was Bitcoin price was touching the 200-week moving average, and that was a clear indicator. I'm a guy who believes in stats and in data. Yes, there is a strong element of believing what fundamentals are, but these fundamentals, the price isn't going to just fall to a random number. There got to be some strong reason behind that for why that number is coming in. And that's where the expertise comes in, okay, why that specific level? And I think in January 2019, in that recorded video and on various different channels, we talked about it, that, okay, the price has touched that 200 week. And this is where the Bitcoin price can actually start coming back up. And lucky for us, it was a good point for us to add into our position and then buy more Bitcoin. And as you know, I'm not selling this anytime soon.
Right, long-time hodler.
Long time, because look at what is going on in the financial markets.
Let's talk about it.
17 trillion worth of negative yield debt. That's what we are talking about. Investors are trying their best, whether you are an institutional investor, whether you're a pension trust, whether you're a family office. Everyone is trying to find a bond, a safe government bond, where they can find a positive yield.
Right.
And these yields, they are continuously moving to the downside. Why? Because everyone is trying to look for that safe haven asset. And these safe haven assets are actually no longer safe haven assets. Why? Crooked monetary policy didn't work, printing money, right? And then these bullets, they don't work anymore, because we have seen that. Just have a look at the GDP growth over in the Eurozone. Can you actually say that, okay, yes, there's been a substantial recovery? Really? Because the ECB only stopped its quantitative easing not too long ago, and now Germany, this biggest economy of the Eurozone, is on the verge of falling into a recession.
Right.
Coming next quarter, you will see a number coming out of Germany, which is going to be which will tell you that, okay, the GDP is contracting. So what exactly is happening? What I am looking at, the reason that I'm really bullish about Bitcoin, and I've talked about this several times before, is that these monetary policies, the central banks around the globe, they do not have a clue what they are doing with the monetary policy. First, they thought that, okay, this is a magic pill and it will revive the growth in the global economy, but it hasn't happened. Now, governments are going back to the last resort, which is fiscal policy. So they are trying to use that particular weapon to revive that growth. And this is what we have seen in Germany. Because now Germany said, okay, you know what? We've been sitting on a surplus for such a long time, but now we can come in and then we can use this. Perhaps this would work. But perhaps maybe, perhaps may not be. We don't know. But one thing is for sure, the next bubble is going to be in the debt market.
Okay.
When that debt market is going to hit and when that bubble will explode, all that money is going to start shifting towards safe haven. Now, what are the safe havens? Bitcoin sits just alongside gold, because look at the performance of Bitcoin, 187% up year to date.
Yeah.
There's no other asset class which is up that much.
It's in a league of its own.
It is. Look at precious metal, gold, yellow metal, right? It is up substantially this year. But if you see the rally for the last few weeks or for last few months, it is enormously like eye-catching. You can see that, okay, how gold price has gone all the way from 1150 to sitting at 1500. And we talked about that, okay, it is going to touch 1550, not too far off, but the price have already touched 1535. In my upcoming article, I'll give you a little bit of snapshot
Here we go.
of that.
We got an exclusive.
So it is. So my prediction is was for gold price to touch 1550, right? So we've touched 1535. Now, Donald Trump came out and then he said that the Fed needs to cut the interest rate by 100 basis points.
Yeah.
How many points? 100 basis points.
Right.
The Fed has only cut the interest rate by 25 basis points so far. And they are reluctant to cut the interest rate by 50 basis points.
Right.
Now, speculators know that Donald Trump wants the Fed to cut the interest rate by 100 basis points. Now, if that happens, because we know that the Fed started to have this dovish monetary policy only because of Donald Trump and only because what is going on with the US-China trade war, right? That 100 basis point rate cut means gold price is going to shoot to the upside, and then we can see 17 or 1800 very soon if the Federal Reserve continues on this dovish monetary policy path. So back to our digital asset world, right? What does that mean for Bitcoin? I think for right now, the price, the way that it is consolidating, I really like that element of price.
Right around 10K, it's
10K. I think it is really good. And what is more important is that it is holding its 50-day moving average. Because if we break that 50-day moving average, then yes, there will be some concerns that bulls are losing some sort of steam. But if we break 100-day moving average, there are some more concerns. But if we break 200-day moving average on a daily time frame, I'm talking about all of these ones, then yes, okay, now we are moving to the downside. But right now, we had few attempts on the 50-day moving average. Price is staying above that. And then I like this fact. I want the price to consolidate between that and let another geopolitical concern kick in. And then we've seen the evidence of both gold price and Bitcoin price moving in tandem. There's a positive correlation between them. Not a strong evidence, but yes, the evidence does exist that there is a correlation in that. There is a positive correlation between that. If that happens, then we're going to see the Bitcoin price moving well above the previous high of 14,000.
Right.
One question that I always being asked is that, okay, do you is this rally is going to be about 20,000 mark?
Everyone's asking.
It's not. The next Bitcoin rally is not about 14,000, 15,000, or 20,000. It's not even about 50,000. It is about 100,000 per Bitcoin. So the moment that we see, so far we haven't seen a rally. So far we've just passed the crypto winter, but we are still well below that all-time high.
Absolutely.
Right? The rally will only start when we will start breaking that 20,000 mark and then start moving to the upside. That's when the rally is going to start. And then everyone is just focused on one particular number, which is 100,000.
Yeah. And then difficult question, but I got to ask, what sort of time frame are we looking at to break that 20K, jump to the 100? What are you looking?
I would really hope, when price was trading in around 13,000, I was really hoping for the price to continue to move to the upside. But now we're seeing this consolidation again.
Because it was flirting with 14,000 a little bit, but never really got there, right?
Not being able to push above that. So this consolidation is open. As long as the price stays above the 50-day moving average, I think we can really see 20,000 mark this year.
20,000 this year?
20,000 this year, as long as the price stays above the 50-day moving average on a daily time frame.
And then 2020 also looking bullish. I mean, we've got a lot of predictions. People are saying 100s, maybe even 100,000s, maybe even conservative. We've got guys talking 150, 200, 500K. What do you say to that?
I think all these numbers, they come from maths, and then we have done these numbers that how much the percentage move is, right? So if you look at the previous rallies and then you start measuring that move, it's nearly about 4,000 percentage move. Now, I don't want it to be wrong, but I believe it is in between that percentage. Now, if we start extending that 4,000 percentage move from a 20,000, you will get the number where the next number is. And that number isn't short of 400,000.
Love it. Let's hope so. Now, we've talked Bitcoin, we've talked gold. Let's move back to the sort of the altcoin sphere, that more elastic sort of fringe world where people are solving real world problems. What sort of projects are exciting you these days? What's got you up at night? What's got you cruising through the internet there?
What's got me cruising through the internet and what really intrigued me that I should pursue a little bit more and then dive further into this field is the reason that I'm pursuing a PhD is because the tokenization of assets. Right. Creating liquidity out of illiquid assets. This is what really excites me the most. And then this is the key theme of my thesis, so-called for my PhD. So over the next few years, this is what exactly I am looking at. So people do say that, yes, I can create a liquidity out of this. Can you really create a liquidity out of that? How can you do that? How can you use fungible and non-fungible assets to create liquidity? And I think this is where I look for really good examples. Right now, I don't know of a project which gives me access to plant tree, right? Or where someone says that, okay, look, you can actually buy this and then sell it, and then this becomes liquid in a way. How does it become a liquid? So basically, you plant a tree at whatever cost. Let's just say, for example, it is $25 for one security token, because that is represented by that, right? Okay, so we have one tree. Now you are buying that for a $25. This is a very small tree. It grows over the next 3 years. Let's say that it grows 15 meters on average, right? When you want to sell wood or timber on the market, the price is in cubic meters.
Okay, interesting.
Not in meters. So you are buying something which is for $25, and I believe this is where the security token is going to go for. But you are selling it in cubic meter, and the price to sell that in a cubic meter is over 200 Aussie dollar per cubic meter.
Okay.
This is creating a liquidity in the sphere of fungible and non-fungible assets, which didn't exist.
We haven't seen it before.
Right. Yeah. And I think this is where the regulators are really looking at. Do we have, and academics, because as an academic in this space, this is what I look at. Okay, is a project properly regulated in the correct jurisdictions? Because there are so many other jurisdictions which investors will still ask. Is the product geared for something where pension trusts or institutions can actually get involved in? If you look at, I've worked as a portfolio manager for a pension company.
Right.
When we talk about that, there's no such product which has a yield of this kind, where you are buying something for $25 and then over the 3 years it becomes 15 meter high and then you are selling it in cubic meters. So for pension trust, yes. So it is a perfect product because when I'm putting my money in a pension trust, I wanted to see something a bit more stable. It has an insurance on it.
Right.
I don't have to worry about that at all.
It's got to be safe for these guys to jump on board.
It needs to be safe by the law and by the technology, by the people who are running it.
Yeah.
Because as a hedge fund manager, these were the questions that we were always doing that. As a hedge fund trader, that's what we were looking at when we were looking at any equity. Does it have all the characteristics? What are the speculative elements of that? Right? And when anything goes in the pension trust space, with the hedge fund space, within the institution space, it brings that validity of that element that, okay, it is actually a product which can be used. And here is something more important. Something which is not being talked about is something called Sharia law, Sharia finance.
Yeah.
Sharia finance is, and this is again becoming the part of my research, you can't have a speculation, you can't have an interest rate.
No interest,
you got to have a real asset behind any digital, you got to have a real asset behind a derivative, right? So that's what you, in a sphere of this one, imagine if you have a Islamic finance, a Sharia law license, which is called fatwa, which is very much, when I look at a project like this, I see that, okay, it fits really well within the compliance structure of a Sharia finance, right? If you do that, what's the total amount of capital which is sitting and locked? These ethnic investors who just want to get involved in that specific area. It is nearly $1 trillion US. These people, they have money, but they don't have the right products on the market. Now blockchain has enabled that. Now blockchain has enabled products like hotels, which are fully Sharia compliant. And that only comes on the back of the fintech technology and on the back of blockchain. And then stuff like this, like how Global Tree project is, with the help of a Sharia finance or with a Sharia license, you can actually start selling the product to institutions and then ask them, you can actually put this product in your basket of other products, and you can now actually market it and sell it to your investors who'll be very happy because it is a solid product that you can touch.
It's very interesting. I mean, the whole Sharia market for the West, it's untapped to date, and blockchain's opening this up. Also interesting, you're saying the institutional investors and the Sharia law or Sharia compliant investors as well, sort of similar requirements to move into a product. A little bit more security, more fundamentals there, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, yes.
Very interesting. Now, I guess, we'll wrap it up here. We know you're a busy man. We got to get you out of here. But a couple more comments on the crypto space at all. What do you see happening in the next sort of to the end of the year? We said maybe 20,000, something like that. What else are you looking forward to? Anything on the horizon that's
I'm looking at more liquidity on an exchanges. I'm looking at how the secondary market is going to start popping up, because one of the question or one of the things that everyone is talking about that, okay, there's no liquidity in the secondary market. Yeah. The reason for that liquidity not being there is only and only because these tokens, which have been issued as security tokens, they were locked for a minimum period. Now some of these tokens would be unlocked. And this is what I would be really looking at, how liquidity is going to pop up in the secondary market.
Yeah. Love it, Naeem. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
Always a pleasure. Until next time.
Thank you.